It's time to show them we are more than meets the eye.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, thanks to the brilliant team over at Yolopark, we're going to be checking out their Transformers 1 AMK series, D16 and Bumblebee. Now, if you'd like these or Optimus Prime and Elita 1, then make sure to check out that link down below and use the discount code Prime vs Prime at checkout. And bang! Here we have D16 fully assembled into his robot mode. And this may just go down as being easily one of the most accurate Yolopark figures that they are ever likely to make, because this is based on the very first design that we do see of D16, where he doesn't quite have the ability to transform just yet. And as we directly compare him against the actual CG render, this guy appears to be pretty smack on. So as we check out the details, the head sculpt I think looks sick, and personally I do prefer this design in comparison to his final form. The throwback to the Marvel comics where this guy is totally rocking a gunmetal helmet, I think is wicked. I also really love the attention to detail of him being cogless. That massive hollow cavity in the chest is where the transformation cog will eventually be crammed into in order to give this guy the ability to transform into a pretty ruthless looking tank. And when it does come down to the rest of the robot mode, despite this being Megatron's first form, I really like the throwbacks to the original G1 cartoon, especially when it comes down to the red paint app smacked into the torso. The leg design I think is looking incredibly sharp, crammed with a ton of mechanical detail, and even as we spin him around here to the back, equally as detailed and as painted as the front. When it does come down to specifically the cogless Transformers, I think out of the bunch, D16 may just be easily my favourite. As we fly through this guy's accessories, in addition to the pair of open hands, this guy's packing a pair of fisted hands to kind of give us an indication as what's to come when it does come down to his rivalry with Optimus Prime. He also includes a pair of command hands, so that he can not only assist Orion in battle, but can also command the Decepticons to transform and rise up. The largest accessory out of the bunch may just go down as easily being the best, as we do see the jetpack, which we have seen from the most recent teaser trailer. And to match the actual design that we will eventually see in the film, it can also be fully integrated into this guy's backpack. The final accessory out of the bunch is indeed the smallest, and this right here is the transformation cog that will eventually give D16 and the rest of the cast the ability to transform. This is a super tiny accessory but has been incredibly well detailed, and whilst you can kind of sort of plug it into D16's chest, it most definitely isn't a tight fit. So personally, guys, I would definitely recommend to leave this bad boy off to the side. Sliding into D16's articulation, to begin with, the head can look up, it can look down, the shoulders can kick forwards, they can kick backwards, they can also kick there out to the side. I thought that joint was actually really well engineered. The bicep can then spin, the elbow can bend way past 90 due to these pretty wicked double joints, and the wrists are ball jointed, meaning that you are most definitely able to get pretty expressive with those bad boys. The waist can spin all the way around, the hips can kick forwards, they can also kick backwards as well as there out to the side, the thigh can spin slightly side to side, and due to a double range at the knee, this can also kick slightly past 90. And then finally, when it does come down here to the ankle, in addition to rocking backwards and forwards, this can of course also rock both in and out. So overall, when it does come down to articulation, despite easily being one of the smallest AMK releases, this guy is most definitely packing a punch. But to see what D16 is truly capable of, now let's put him through the pose test. Flying through some comparisons, here he is against the figure which I was the most excited to compare him against, that being the Studio Series Transformers 1 Optimus Prime. Now, if this figure right here was the final form of Megatron, I would actually say that the scale works perfectly, but considering that D16 will be considerably smaller in comparison to the final form of Optimus Prime, unfortunately this really doesn't work out all that well. But in this guy's defense, I don't believe that Hasbro are ever likely to approach the cogless designs, just as the whole point of them is that they cannot transform. So if you do want this design of D16 in your collection, then I do think right now that this is most definitely the best option to go with. Here is how he stacks up against some of the deluxes from the Transformers 1 mainline. We have Optimus Prime / Orion Pax, B127 aka Bumblebee, the Great Sentinel Prime, the legend that is Alpha Trion, and then to fly through the rest of Yolopark's Codless character lineup, first of all we have Orion Pax. Now for these guys only retailing for $15, honestly guys, I do not think you can go wrong. Here is Badassatron, then finally Elita 1, and it is just crazy that when it does come down to Hasbro's mainline, these two right now are missing from the deluxe class lineup. And bang! Here we have Bumblebee fully assembled into his robot mode. Now the biggest difference between this design in comparison to the Cogless B127 is that at this point in the movie, I do believe this is Bee's final form. He now does have the ability to transform and has the vehicle mode fully integrated into his design. Yet again, being compared alongside the actual CG render, this guy appears to be pretty dead on. So as we check out the details, the head sculpt I think is just fantastic. I am most definitely taking that visor as being a direct throwback to Goldbug, who we did see in the original G1 show, which speaking of, when it does come down to the metallic gold, again this is a huge improvement in comparison to the cogless version of this guy. I also really like the integration of the Cybertronian wheels when it does come down here to the foot design. That is looking sweet, and as we spin this guy around to the back, much like D16, he has been as equally painted and as detailed as the front. When it comes down to Bee's accessories, to begin with, he is packing a pair of open hands, don't shoot! A pair of gripping hands which are compatible with the blasters that are included with both Elita 1 and Optimus Prime. Then easily the most important out of the bunch, a pair of knife hands, so that not only Bee can slice and dice the Decepticons, but so that we are able to fully recreate
Badassatron!
And you guys tell me just exactly what a Bumblebee would be without a pretty nasty sting. So also included is the return of Bumblebee's iconic inbuilt arm cannon, which if you take and compress down, does actually fully integrate into this guy's forearm design, which I thought was sick. The final accessory would be a full-blown faceplate, which you are supposed to be able to swap out with the actual battle mask. Although unfortunately, when it does come down to my own copy, that battle mask appears to be pretty much fused to the head. And unfortunately guys, I just didn't want to run the risk of breaking it, so won't be able to show you exactly how this does look fully integrated into the head. Bossing our way into this guy's articulation, to begin with, the head is packing a supreme ball joint. So this will look up, it will then look down, it can tilt side to side and turn both left to right. The shoulders are ball jointed, so these will kick forwards, they will kick backwards, and can also crunch in and out. The shoulder pad can be fully extended to allow for a pretty decent kick going out to the side. The bicep can then spin all the way around, and the elbow is packing a pretty decent double bend. The wrist is on a ball joint, so this too will also move all the way around, much like D16, allowing you to get this guy into some pretty expressive poses. The torso can crunch backwards, forwards, side to side, as well as can be spun both left to right. The hips can kick forwards to that far, as well as back to that far. They will then also kick there out to the side and spin around here at the thigh. The knee can bend slightly past 90 due to, again, a pretty decent double joint. And then finally, when it does come down here to these ankles, in addition to rocking both in and out, if you take the front part of the foot, this can also pivot forwards. And I thought the engineering when it came down to this piece was actually pretty awesome. But as I'm sure you guys all know by now, to see what sting this Bee is truly packing, now let's put him through the pose test. Firing through some comparisons, first of all we are bringing out the cogged version of Optimus Prime. Now both of these bad boys do retail for roughly $30, which again, when you consider what you get back for that price point, I think is an absolute steal. Next up, here is how he stacks up alongside the big bad Megatron, the final form for Elita 1 who has legs for days, as well as their Rise of the Beasts, Bumblebee. Then to show you guys the evolution of Badassatron, here we have B127, which will then eventually become Bumblebee. In this case, when it does come down to a final form, I think Bee is looking sick, which is something that surprisingly I cannot say as we compare D16 into Megatron, because I do actually find myself preferring the cogless look. I think this guy looks banging in comparison to this version, which while still looks neat, is nowhere near as nicely detailed in comparison to this bad boy. So, wrapping up on this review for the Yolopark Transformers 1, AMK, D16 and Bumblebee. Personally, I think these may just be some of the best model kits that Yolopark have so far dropped. In the case of the cogless Transformers, personally guys, I would absolutely recommend to jump on them, because not only are they easily the most accurate figures that Yolopark have so far produced due to them not transforming in the movie, but for that exact reason, I don't think that Hasbro are ever likely to approach these designs, just as the whole point of them is that they cannot transform. The build style is still exactly the same as some of their past model kits, incredibly straightforward and easy to do, and the plastic quality for something that is officially advertised as a model, I think feels really good in hand. So if you are a fan of these designs and the past releases by Yolopark, then I would most definitely recommend to jump on these bad boys. Again, be sure to check out that link down below. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching, and until my next video, transform and roll out!